Hey guys, welcome to the workshop. In today's video, I wanted to bring you along the process of restoring this really old and rusty number 6 Stanley hand plane. So stick around. So the first thing that I'm going to do is try to take off the knob and the handle and remove the frog and basically completely disassemble this thing so that I can tackle a rust problem. Okay, it's been overnight, and gotta show you real quick before I continue on. Since this was not submerged completely in there, just behold the power of this stuff. It is incredible. I'm gonna have to do some more soaking and kind of lay this in different angles and sides to get it in there, but it is amazing the level of rust that came off of there that honestly I didn't really know was on there. What I'm going to do is kind of reposition this into the container, but everything else can just come out and get rinsed off with some water and then dried and let it dry, and then we'll assess this on another day. Alright, so while I'm waiting for that to continue to do its thing, I'm going to look at the blade, and this blade has really been beaten up, so I need to completely reestablish the original angle, and then I'm going to do a little micro bevel on there, and I'm going to do that with some sharpening stones, a little ruler, and this guide that I got from Woodcraft. So before I begin the sharpening process, I have a water stone that is 240 grit and 800 grit, and it needs to sit in a bucket of water for at least 5 minutes to completely absorb all of the water, and then I can go ahead and start sharpening this thing up. And I'll probably start 240 grit and then I'll move to the 800 grit. So everything is now dry and cleaned up. Did have a little bit of a problem here. Noticed there was a chip out on this wood, so might need to make a new one of these too. I might end up making both of them new out of the same wood just to make a match. We'll leave them to the side. So this is looking pretty good. The way that I ended up doing this left a little bit of residue. There's a little space here that didn't really get the evaporust so good. So I'm going to take some steel wool to it just to kind of shine it up, clean it up a little bit. And then on this inside, I'm going to try to get as much of the black paint off and then apply some black spray paint to it. There are areas that are really good, but there's a lot of areas that I don't want painted. So once I do the steel wool on this, I'm going to take the time, tape it out, and then we'll spray it with the black paint. And we'll start reassembling some of these parts. Probably do the same thing on here. Wherever there was black paint, I'm going to put new black paint on it. Well, it's not perfect, but it is so much better than it was before. So before I get into doing any more, I'm going to actually use some lacquer thinner, try to clean off all the oil, all the residue that's left on this thing, so that when I paint it, it'll actually work pretty good and the paint will actually stick. Okay, it's painted, shined up. This thing's looking spectacular. I've even got the frog ready to go. And so the next step that I'm going to do is actually assemble some of this. I'm going to put the chip raker onto the blade, put them together, start putting some of the brass and screws back on. I'm going to leave everything on it except for the two handles. Okay, well, I have to admit, this is just blowing me away on how this is looking, especially after looking at how it started. I have scoured my workshop and I found the pieces to fit back into the broken area. So what I'm going to do is clean this up very little, just to get the dust. It's a very clean cut, and then I'm going to use some glue to put that back together, and then I'll clean that up, and that'll be good to use. And then I'm not going to do anything to the knob. I think the knob is perfectly fine now. I cleaned it up with the lacquer thinner, and it's actually turned out pretty good. So that is going to be on a good mend. This here, a little more work. I've noticed that the end where the screw goes, this is broken off, so I'll just reattach that with some glue. And the tip here, I'm going to cut that nice and smooth, and then I'm going to actually make a new piece on this tote, so it'll actually look really good. Well, because I have other planes, I went to look through all the handles, and this is my only number 6. I just got this number 5. It's a 5C, and then I've got another 5C that's a much newer model from Stanley, but after looking at the totes, the handles here, I've realized it is pretty similar than the one I have now, and may not be historically correct, but I'm going to try to copy this onto here. Alright, I'd say that's actually really good, really close, but to get this underside, I'm going to have to employ the use of a rasp and just do it by hand, and then I'll sand it by hand as well. Alright, well this has turned out really good. It's actually gotten pretty dark. But what I'm going to do is use some ebony walnut or ebony stain here and just kind of dab it on and try to get it to look pretty good. But the knob is ready to go. Once again, I just did some fixing up. It's nothing major, but that is ready to go. That is looking really good. First glance, this is looking to be almost identical. Oh, it's beautiful. That is perfect. Getting full passes. Shaving's a little heavy on one side, so we're going to angle it just a little bit away. Alright, too much. Get out of the way. Alright. There we go. Too much that way. Okay guys, that's about it. This thing turned out really good. I'm really proud of it. I've already used it a few times, as you saw in the video, and it works phenomenally. I was contemplating actually buying a replacement blade for this, but it actually seems to be doing pretty good, and so I will just keep on using it till it needs to be sharpened again. So if you like this video, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. And hit that subscribe button and the little bell notification so that you always get notified of every new video that I put up. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time here in the workshop.